recalling past joys or just remembering how to walk and talk and fry an egg. Memory is the chain that connects our past to our present. If it breaks, we're left untethered, incapable of leaving the present moment and unable to embrace the future.
Remember when there were no MP3s but CDs? Didn't care about germs, no concern of disease. Street lights came on, we high-fived and we leave. Back in the days it wasn't so hard to believe that I would wake up as the Black Power Ranger, never scared of danger, snapping my fingers to the beat of my drum. Became addicted to fun, we would fight with our hands, never needed a gun. We would gladly chill in the house, play mom and daddy. The greatest feeling was when nobody could ever tag me. So happy, not being the last to be chosen, to run to the candy lady to buy us a frozen. We were just kids up to no good. Remember the first time you watched Boys in the Hood? Rat tail in the back while my barber faced me. Do you remember when? Yes, no,
remember
maybe.
When you would hear a song you liked and it felt like it was about your life. Remember when you would write a letter to your girlfriend and she would read it to all of her girlfriends. Remember staying up all night, talking on the phone. Remember skipping class with your homeboys.
Yeah.
Remember G.I.
Hey yo, I wrote this shit up all day. A long stay in the hallway. Harking back to an era of the tape play. Hitting on the track well, on the max cell. With the spitting the beginning of a rap tale. Elastic scoop, the loop shine vividly. In due time, produce rhyme synergy. And for the longest caught the blinking of the torment. Till inkling of performance, still thinking of us dormant. And so it be, who hold close and kept dear. Were left there, won't know folks by next year. For ties cut, invest shares, perplex peers. Rise up, reflect fear, for hex sneers. The rest cheer, know we did it for a purpose. Poem of a kid who never did scratch surface. Until we own it, respect the craft for proponents. Cause it ain't over till the song.
Remember what? You would hear a song you liked, and it felt like it was about your life. Remember when you would write a letter to your girlfriend, and she would read it to all of her girlfriends. Remember staying up all night, talking on the phone. Remember skipping class with your homeboys. Remember G.I. Joe.
I used to play Mortal Kombat with Matthew. I swore he used to cheat. I swear I could never beat him. Low sour jawbreakers, I swear I could never eat him. Baddest chick in the school, I swear I could never meet her. Until I wrote her a letter telling her I'm a singer. Me and Terrence would draw pictures of sneakers. Me and Ashley used to be in the class singing. I wrote my first rap in the back of the class thinking, I'm feeling it, yeah. Feel high, did you get feeling alive? If you're feeling, raise your L in the sky. I remember selling my mixtape in high school. They was really kinda supportive at my school. I was selling cassette tapes for $5. I was making my own beats, I was beatboxing.
Brown, brown sugar, that brown, brown, eight. 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 Brown, brown sugar, that brown, brown, eight.
Fanfare starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's going on, everybody, on a Wednesday evening at 7:25? Thanks for those who are able to attend, and I don't go chasing people down, looking to build something here. I'm just going to jump right in because this one is a big show. I only got a couple stories, like 2 or 3 stories, but they're big stories, really big stories. And so I just want to make sure I get to them as soon as possible. Hope you guys are all having a good evening. Hope you had dinner, settle in, enjoy yourself, communicate with me. I'm going to communicate back with you. So, you guys have probably seen, well, I don't know if you go on Twitter or not, you've probably seen a lot of people an absolute lot of people complain that the media folks out there on Twitter always the media folks out there online and on their shows always seem to talk down about the Miami Dolphins, which is funny because only the people on Twitter and some of the people that comment on my stuff think that people talk down against the Miami Dolphins. They're giving their opinion. And I always have said, very, very much so on a lot of my tweets, which people get pissed there too, is you only amplify the people that you agree with. You don't amplify and you call other guys clowns. If somebody says something bad about Tua or something critical about Tua or anything to do with the Miami Dolphins, you call them clowns, idiots, morons, etc. Except if there's somebody that talks good about the team, they're basically hallowed. They are completely heralded. They are applauded as the best. Now, there's one guy in particular who I have watched probably for the better half of 6 or 7 months, and his statements have stayed the same. A lot of people, Colin Cowherd, he changes according to what he sees or what he feels. But there's one guy out there who talks about the Miami Dolphins from the time training camp opened until now pretty much the same way. And that guy is Louis Riddick. He's a former player. I forget what school he played at, but he's also been personnel director at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he also was personnel director at the Washington, at that time called Redskins. So he's got a lot of field experience and he's got a lot of managerial experience in terms of, what goes on with the inner workings of the team. Because he's been so positive about the Miami Dolphins from day one, I have felt for quite some time that this guy isn't just out there talking well about the Miami Dolphins. He's not just giving them applause. He's just not giving them praise. I personally feel that Louis Riddick, given his experience, is looking at the Miami Dolphins and saying, if this team doesn't win a Super Bowl, if this team doesn't at least get to the Super Bowl, there's a job opportunity right there. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that Chris Grier should feel heat. I think Chris Grier should feel, if I don't get the job done, there's somebody there that may want to get tapped for my position. Matter of fact, I think Louis Riddick would be fantastic as a general manager, especially for the Miami Dolphins. He knows what he's talking about. So when I see people out on Twitter and everywhere else talking about how great Louis Riddick is saying things about the Miami Dolphins, you might want to understand this guy has the pedigree. He's got the cred. He could step in and be the GM with the Miami Dolphins like that. Stephen Ross would be foolish to look a different way if Louis Riddick wanted the job. So I've got a video today, and Stephen A. and a bunch of the guys were out there saying different things about the Miami Dolphins and Tua and Tyreek and where they think everything is going. And Louis Riddick came out and basically said, well, let me just play it and we'll talk about it. So you can, if you haven't heard it, you're going to hear it right now, because he really, really, really likes the Miami Dolphins.
Washington. And watch how they are knocking people off the football and putting them on their back. And watch how this run game is starting to really resemble what San Francisco tries to do. I'm not saying they're on that level. But if they can continue to progress along the offensive line the way they're progressing, Connor Williams can continue to play the way that he is playing. Austin Jackson, who may be one of the best stories in the NFL that nobody talks about as far as offensive line play at right tackle. They have
now understand he's talking about the offensive line actually looks good. And a lot of other people temper their applause because they look good against who? Who do they look good against, Louis? So you have to wonder if he's not, putting on a show, and he's letting the Miami Dolphins out in your camp because, yes, Austin Jackson has been seen as doing much better. Connor Williams, now he's back from injury, he has been seen as doing much better. But then again, and Lewis never talks about this, he never talks about the teams that they're playing. And you have to. I know a lot of people don't like that. They say, we're supposed to beat the shitty teams, and we're doing what we're supposed to. And as I've been telling you, it's not about the team. It's the personnel. It's the execution. Who are you playing against? So if you're dominating somebody who's dominatable, then you have to wonder, how good are you at that point? But Lewis makes sure that he always applauds the Miami Dolphins.
Totally changed the arc of this young man's career. These guys, if they can run the football with the way that they are explosive in the passing game, I'm just telling you right now, Miami's going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl. They are going to have a showdown with Baltimore.
They're going to the Super Bowl.
They are going to the Super Bowl.
I love Zach. Yeah.
So right there, you saw Stephen A's face. What? They're going to the Super Bowl? You're going to say that right now? You're going to say that on December 6th? That the Miami Dolphins are going to go to the Super Bowl. You have no doubt at all, if they can get the running game going, that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Now, understand what that does. One, like I said, this isn't negative. I applaud Lewis, and I think this guy's got a brilliant football mind. I think he's got a mind for football that is beyond reproach. I think he could do a better job than Chris Greer as general manager. So now, let's think about this. If I want the job as GM of the Miami Dolphins, I am going to applaud everything that's happening. I'm going to put them on a really big pedestal. I'm going to say this team is ready to win or at least get to the Super Bowl. And then what happens if they don't? Hey, listen, Austin Jackson's doing fantastic. Connor Williams is doing great. You're really saying everything is fine because you're putting the standard up here. Just like all the fans did. All the fans are saying Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And I'm like, what happens if you don't get there? You think Stephen Ross isn't going to maybe lop some heads off? Deservedly so, with this roster, with the salary cap of next year and who's got to get paid. And I think Louis Riddick has positioned himself perfectly to step in should things not go the way everybody thinks they should. When everybody out there, when I say everybody, when I see most of the pundits, most of the guys, sports journals saying, yeah, Miami, yeah, they're good, but they really haven't played anybody. And you see somebody so different, completely different. I think those of you who have I saw one comment earlier, you're applauding. I mean, you should have seen it today on Twitter. It was like Louis Riddick walked on aqua water because every Dolphins fan basically republished that video, retweeted it, re-X'd it, whatever you want to call it. They put it out there everywhere. This was the guy. All those other guys. I actually saw people's tweets. All the other guys are full of it. None of them know what the hell they're talking about. None of them. Don't listen. Louis Riddick is the only guy who knows what he's talking about. Cool. Let's say that Louis Riddick is the only sportscaster out there who really understands what's going on with the Miami Dolphins. Louis Riddick is the guy who we need to believe is the person who knows football. He knows ball. All these other guys don't know ball. Only Louis Riddick knows it. And maybe Emmanuel Acho from time to time, but Acho, as you've seen, will jump from team to team saying this guy's great, that guy's great. Louis Riddick keeps pushing the Dolphins. So if all the fan base, and I do mean just about all of the fan base, believes that Louis Riddick is the only guy who's talking about the Dolphins because he's the only guy who understands this team, and he's the only guy right now saying this team could definitely get to the Super Bowl if they get the running game. What happens if they don't? Well, he's going to say something's got to change. You had all the pieces in place to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, he's been saying it all season. You guys are Super Bowl bound. What happens if that doesn't happen? Well, it's obviously mismanagement. It's obviously something didn't work right. The team needs a change. You watch for this in the offseason. You watch if the Dolphins don't get to the Super Bowl, which odds are they have a great chance, but if they don't, you watch guys like Louis Riddick begin to say the team needs to change. It's a shame that the talent that this team has, with a 2,000-yard wide receiver, with arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and they couldn't get to the big one. Stephen Ross is going to hear that. I believe Chris Greer was on shaky ground before the season began. And now, not everybody, but, hey, listen, you've been lifted up. You've been given a golden geese, because you got a couple people on this team that should, just be all pros and be ready to go. And if the bottom drops out, if something happens, watch for a change and watch for Louis Riddick's name to be mentioned as the new general manager. I could be completely wrong. You can keep this receipt, but I'm pretty sure if everything goes fine, Chris Greer, you're safe. You did fantastic. You built this offensive line with Austin Jackson and all these subs going in and out. You did it, man. You absolutely were magical in putting this team together. You kept them together with Band-Aids and rubber bands, but you made it to the Super Bowl. Oh, Chris Greer, you need a raise. You might be general manager of the year. On the other hand, if shit hits the fan, I think Chris Greer is out with his hat. I think he's gone, and there's only going to be a few people who I think Stephen Ross will have on speed dial and say, hey, can we talk? Like I said, keep this and watch it. Now, in addition to that, or not addition, but to support that, this is where I see, and I have seen the problem, and people have asked me for, I can't tell you how long, Barry, why are you so negative? Why are you so hard? Why aren't you enjoying the season? And, I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm going to tell you what my concern has been for probably the last couple of months. And it's best explained in this tweet right here, or post, whatever you want to call it. I put this out today, and I had to delete a bunch of people because they were screaming at me, but it's a very self-explanatory post. I want you to read this. All right. So this is let me go down here. Let me make it big so you can see it. This is the list of people who are considered right now MVP candidates. And their odds from Vegas on who could potentially win it. Obviously, Dak Prescott today is number 1, and Josh Allen is, I guess that's number 10 in terms of his odds of possibly winning it. I saw that and I went, that explains everything I've been trying to say. Why does it explain everything I wanted to say or have been saying? Well, all three, as you can see, I don't know if you can see what I wrote there, okay? The Dolphins face 3 MVP candidates in their last 3 games of the season. Obviously, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, and although he's number 10, Josh Allen. 3 top 10 MVP candidates are awaiting the Dolphins. Their fate sits with those 3 guys. Incidentally, all 3 Dolphins losses to date, all 3 Dolphins losses came at the hands of MVP candidates. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. You see that? I've seen it for a couple months now. I've been trying to tell people it's not just about the schedule, it's the personnel that you have to face. It's this type of personnel. And when I looked at this and this got posted today, and I went, whoa, that's exactly it. All 3 losses came against MVP candidates. What lies ahead? 3 MVP candidates. If, for some stroke of imagination, the Dolphins finished 11-6, then they would probably have lost to all of the MVP candidate quarterbacks. You got Lamar Jackson coming up, lost to Jalen Hurts, lost to Patrick Mahomes, and then Josh Allen already one loss, and then Dak Prescott at the top of the list. Now we're going to find out, without any equivocation, now we're going to find out what this team is made of. I can't wait. And to let you know, I can't wait to be proven wrong. I want to see what happens when the Dolphins face these three MVP candidates, because I've seen what's happened when they faced the other three MVP candidates. And nobody, and I do mean nobody, is talking about it. That's what you're hearing from me. That's the concern you've been hearing from me, because I look at these kinds of things and I'm looking, Sam Howell, Tom Boyle. I mean, you can go through the list. And then you got to face the Piper. You got to face the Piper towards the end of the season, where you're going to face three of the guys on that list again. So over the course of the season, you face three of them. You lost to them. Got a bunch of people in between. Now comes the bookend of the schedule, where three of those MVPs show up again. And it's funny, because I will I will also wager that there should be a fourth name on that list. Micah Parsons, if he wasn't a linebacker, would be a potential MVP candidate. He's probably going to win or be very close to Defensive Player of the Year. But if they gave MVPs to linebackers, which they never will, he would be on that list as well. For sure. He would be on that list. So that explains, in a nutshell, what I've been thinking and what I'm looking towards. I don't care about these teams in the middle. I don't care about the table setting. I'm looking at it and go, hey, man, come January 7th, you would have played 6 MVP candidates. 6 of them. Actually, 5 won twice. 6. And to get too deep in the playoffs, that's the kind of talent you're going to have to go through. And in fact, if you get into playoffs, if you notice here, you're going to have to probably go through 8. Because whether it's Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, or I doubt it, Josh Allen. But that's why I say you're probably going to have to go through 8. You're going to go 6 during the season, and you're probably going to face either Lamar or Patrick in the playoffs as well. That's 8. 8 MVP candidates you are going to have to face to get to the Super Bowl. Bring it. That's what I want to see. That's what I've been talking about. It's explained perfectly in that one chart. That's it. Nobody else can say, Barry, you're hating on the Dolphins. No, man, I'm looking at some stuff that, that really stands out, which really means something. And I don't think, put it this way, I wonder when the last time any team has had to run the gauntlet in season of playing 6 MVP candidates. Can you imagine? I don't remember there being one team having to play 6 MVP candidates. You can look it up and let me know if it's happened before, but if it hasn't, that's going to be huge. I mean, that's absolutely huge. So anyway, let's take some comments and hear what you guys have to say. Make sure it's working. There it is. I'm looking forward to the remaining games. Time to test the metal, and iron sharpens iron, baby. Absolutely right. Josh Allen may indeed be overrated, and he may indeed can't stay out of his way, and he may indeed be a turnover machine, but he's also indeed an MVP candidate. And he beat this team by 28 points. So as shitty as he's been, you can't take that away. He smacked the shit out of the Dolphins, so he's right there. Tua has shown he can beat Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He did it last year in back-to-back games. Absolutely. Noticing nothing in my comments. Nothing did I say they can't do it. They absolutely have the proficiency, the talent, and the ability to win these games. Now you just got to go out there and do it. In fact, Jermaine, what you're saying is actually tougher on the Dolphins. Because it'd be different if it's like, hey, man, we're going to play these guys. This is going to be shit. I don't know if we can overcome them. I don't know if we can beat these guys. But like you said, that is the dilemma. You definitely have shown you have the talent. You definitely have shown you deserve to be playing these types of teams. Now you just got to go do it. You can't say that you weren't even on the field. You weren't even representative. You weren't potentially as good as these teams. No, you absolutely are. You are not going to hear me say the Dolphins can't be competitive. Yes, the Dolphins can win. Now you got to execute. Those 3 games are going to, as I wrote in my tweet, that's when you're going to settle off family business. All narratives, everything is done based on those 3 games. Absolutely. Spencer Gustafson. Hey, Spencer. Haven't seen you before. The cap situation over the next 2 years suggests this team is win now, and once it's done, we'll have to see Rams, Saints type of salary. Yeah, this is it. And that's why I was talking about Louis Riddick, because, hey, these guys can win. Why don't they? And after seeing, why didn't they? Because next year you're going to have to tear it down, rebuild, do some stuff. It's crazy. Captain Swole says, yeah, you can't deny an ass whooping. Straight up. Just dial it back and watch the video. Spank, spank, spank. 3 more times. You got to face 3 more MVP candidate quality quarterbacks. That's been my concern. Let's see, what do we got here? Kaka. Hey, man, how you doing? Good morning from Thailand. Yeah, you're about 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Frederick Saunders, great comment. Went out and shut up everyone. That's it. That shuts everyone up. That gets everybody getting the popcorn, getting ready for the playoffs. That's what I've been waiting for. And it's funny because people say I'm negative. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not looking at this stuff. I need to see the MVP candidates get taken down. Almost took down Patrick Mahomes. Almost did. Didn't do it, though. See, that's a big difference. No excuses. Bottom line, didn't do it. Period. No more excuses. This is playoff time. This is money time. Beat them or shut up. That's it. There's no, hey, well, this could have happened. Don't care. You got to show it. This is the year Patrick Mahomes can be taken down. Doesn't have a wide receiver team. Doesn't have it. This is the year, and I was amazed how they shut Travis Kelce down in Germany. This is the year he can fall. Chris Wozniak says, this is a time of year when the running game needs to start picking it up again. Comes down to the offensive line. So everybody, and when I use everybody in a superlative, I don't mean it superlatively, but everybody has been blah, blah, blah. The offensive line's been doing so great. And I'm like, dude, they played the Washington Commanders. Come on, man. They traded away their entire defense. They took Chase Young and, oh my God, shipped him to San Francisco to be on the other side of Nick Bosa. Are you kidding me? It's completely different. And to me, that's what I want to see. I want to see these last 3 games. And trust me, they pull off these 3 games and win these 3 games, or even 2 out of 3, you're going to see me change my tune quite a bit, because they will have proved it. See, I'm a guy who wants to see things proven. I don't get pom-poms up in the air and go, oh, it's great, you stomped these teams. No, I need you to prove it to me. Then, once I see the proof, then it's a different story. The running game was good against the Jets, too, but Jets, really, we're going to talk about the Jets next, but Jets, are you really bringing up the Jets? When the defense has the demoralization of that team takes them to a different level where you can't even discuss. The team's in complete disarray. You imagine yourself knowing every single day you wake up you have less than a probably 10% chance to win. How motivated are you going to be? How motivated can that defense be when I know we're going to go 3 and out most of the entire game? Our offense isn't going to do anything, but we'll talk about the Jets in a second. Beating any NFL team is a blessing. This is not college football. These guys are pros. Yeah, but money time, baby. Money time. No, I didn't say Jermaine, you put words in my mouth, man. Listen. Listen specifically. I said, quote, demoralized. I didn't say quit. I said they were on the field the whole time. I said that they were 3 and out, so offense wasn't getting the ball. You have any idea what that does to you in the beginning of the fourth quarter, when you've had to play the majority of the snaps and your offense can't do anything? You probably haven't played football based upon what you're saying here. What I'm telling you is, by the time you get to the mid of the third quarter, if your offense is doing nothing, the guys on the other side of the ball are sucking wind. I mean, completely sucking wind. And they're hurting, and they've been beat because they can't get off the field. The other team gets out there and has drives, and they're going up and down the field on you, and you got to turn the ball over, and we got 3 plays, and we're going to be right back out there. You guys couldn't even get a first down. You suck that bad. We got to go right back out. That's not what a defense is there for. Well, Chris, thank you very, very much. Let me just go ahead here. I was at wow. Chris goes, I was at the Jets game. They quit. See, I wasn't there. I just know what that mentality is, and you come out. I mean, it's you just got to imagine. There's Tom Boyle, whatever the heck his name is. He's a quarterback, and they're doing nothing. Literally nothing. I know everyone was looking on the Dolphins side and going, yeah, let's do this, And I'm like, oh my God, they're back on defense again? 3 and out. 3 and out. 3 and out. That's all. When by that time gets in that late third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, you're like, geez, what do we got to do? I mean, put me in a quarterback, all right? Let's run a Wildcat. Do something. Anything. So, yeah. Frederick Saunders says, the longer you keep the ball and score each time, the less chances they have. Yep, absolutely. Wait till you see Monday. Monday might be a different kind of test. I'm really looking forward to Monday night. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch because, as I've said in a couple of videos, watching Derrick Henry, if he's able to play, if his health is okay from his non-concussion last week or whatever he had, that 6'4", 250-pound guy coming at Zach Sealer and Christian Wilkins and David Long, it's going to be fun to watch. They better bring their A game, bring their lunchbox, because it's going to be fun having a lineman run at you. Let's go one game at a time and see what transpires. Can't do that, man. You can do that from the perspective of a fan. You can do that from the perspective of, hey, listen, let's just play the game today and not overlook anybody. Absolutely understand that. But from a 30,000-foot view, as a GM or as a coach, you have to know what's coming down the pike. You have to know. It's almost like a road map. We don't use maps anymore. We all just have GPSs on our phone. But it'll say turn left, turn right. You don't just say, I'm going to go to this stoplight and I'm going to be happy I'm at this stoplight. No, you're looking and you look on your Google Maps. It says, 500 feet, turn right, 1.2 miles, turn left. Same thing. You got a road map. And that road map, looks like something that's kind of scary. That's your road map. That's a road map that you're going to be looking at. And you have to say, how do I get through that? What do I do, and how do I get through that? So that to me it says so much. Derrick Henry is absolutely a beast. With your longer, John, wait a minute, where is this? There was something I want to see this one. John Gordon says, GMs need to do their jobs and be accountable first for the product. Everyone attacks the coaches first. Yeah. Jalen Phillips is down. You know that Jerome Baker is hurt. They brought in Reuben Foster this week to work him out and see what would happen. Didn't sign him. The depth at this time of year, the depth is really, really, really frightening. So let me segue into talking about the New York Jets. And I only going to talk about the Jets because it is an amazing story what transpired. So if you guys weren't following along with the turmoil and being that they're an opponent of the Dolphins, this is a really interesting story. So Diana Rossini, who used to be with ESPN, came out with a story, and she says that the timeline events we're reporting, Zach Wilson made clear to multiple members of the organization, players, staff, and coaches of his apprehension to start due to perceived injury risk. Didn't want to get behind this terrible offensive line. The conversations with Rodgers came as a result of Wilson's shared sentiment with others. So the story that came out was that Zach Wilson, thanks, but no thanks. You pulled me out the game. You put this kid Tom Boyle, whatever his name is, in. He stunk up the joint. Now you want to come back to me? Now you want to put me back on the field after all this? After the season is over? You want me to come in and be the janitor and clean up the season? And no thanks. And so then Aaron Rodgers went to talk to him and said, hey, listen, maybe you can do something. So Diana comes back with this one. It says Aaron Rodgers reached out to Zach Wilson in an effort to advise him to resume the starter role. But at the time, Wilson remained apprehensive due to perceived injury risk. Again, I don't want to go out there and get hurt. You know why I don't want to go out there and get hurt? Because I know I'm not going to be here next year. And because I'm not going to be here next year, I'm going to take a pass right now. I don't want to do it. So then what happened was they came out and said it was all a lie. They came out and completely railed on Diana Rossini and everybody else and said, no, that's not what happened, man. Zach never said that. Zach was all in on playing. You know, he was just waiting for his time and waiting for the call. Listen to what Aaron Rodgers says here on the Pat McAfee show. It's pretty interesting.
Did you talk to him about him saying, I don't want to play football here?
I will say this, you know, when you have sources, right? And that's always an interesting, you know, thing. And, you know, first of all, to have that you can go down a whole rabbit hole with actual sources, made up sources. Why is someone willing to be a source? What are they gaining out of that? On and on and on. But when you use sources and whether intentional or unintentional, try to assassinate someone's character like that report does for Zach, I have a real hard time with that.
Okay,
I really do.
So you're saying that was an effort to maybe make Zach look like a worse human than potential people already view him.
I think that was, how can he not read it any other way? I mean, you're
So what he's saying, basically, in no uncertain terms, Aaron Rodgers is calling Diana Rossini a liar. Your sources suck. You made the whole thing up. It's not true. You're lying. Zach Wilson never said that. It didn't happen. Which is very seldom do you see this kind of disruption, this kind of disarray with an NFL franchise where the point of you got reporters saying the player doesn't want to play. You've got basically the captain of the team coming in saying, no, it's not true. You're just trying to hurt Zach Wilson. You got the coach going, no, it's not true. You don't know what to believe at this point.
He's saying that this kid is quitting on the team and doesn't want to play and has given the middle finger to the organization. Now listen, I don't want to speak for him because he's going to get a chance this week to speak, and I'm going to let him speak. I'll tell you that I love the kid, and I've spent a lot of time with him, and I think he's an amazing young man, and he is young. You know, he's in his early 20s, and I've had a blast spending time with him. He's gone through a lot of shit in the last 3 years.
And a lot of shit, as he said, is because he stunk to join up. He hasn't shown any improvement. He was supposed to step in and be the understudy to Aaron Rodgers. He only had 1 week and had to go in there. But I don't think Robert Saleh has given him the weapons. Well, he's got some weapons, but hasn't given him the offensive line to protect him.
And he's got every right to be frustrated and disappointed about it. I think he's done a good job of standing up and taking accountability this year when it's been his part to do it. And I think that if that's journalism now, if you're going to use sources and whoever that, I want to say the F word now.
You can't. We're doing journalism.
But whoever
can't, right?
That's fool.
That's one of the rules. What's one of the rules?
Whoever that person is that thinks it's okay, number one, to talk to anybody like that, I don't understand what you get out of that, number one. But number two, what do what is your impetus? What is your motivation to try and bury someone like that?
You have to wonder. I mean, Diana Rossini, as some of you know, she trashed Tua last year. She was always trashing Tua. She's looking for that angle, that edge, that story that helps her be that person, that focal point. And would she have fabricated this whole thing? I don't think so. I think that ruins your entire credibility. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers is coming out and saying she's full of crap. Her source is full of crap.
And that's a problem with the organization. You know, we need to get to the bottom of whatever this is coming from and put a stop to it privately, because there's no place in a winning culture where, and this is not the only time, there's been a bunch of other leaks.
Big city, a lot of reporters.
I get it.
A lot of friends.
I get it. They're not your friends.
No, yeah.
They're not your friends.
Yeah,
What?
friends.
They're not your friends. Even if they are, like, is that really what you want to be about? You want to be about using someone in the media?
Notice he's looking directly in the camera. So I don't know if he knows who this source is, but you can tell he's not happy about what's been leaked out, because something obviously got leaked out. You can just look in his face and see this is probably a true story.
To leak stuff too. In order for what? To get them to put your name out there for a job, or if you're a player, to get you a write-up, something. I think it's chicken shit at its core, and you know, I think it has no place in a winning organization to be a source on it, especially not if you're going to assassinate somebody's character, and especially.
So he just put it out there. He called the person chicken shit for saying it's not true, didn't happen. We're not going to do it. Doesn't make any sense. Then right after that, what I found extremely funny was this guy went from starting in the NFL to probably working at Walmart in less than a week. The Jets are releasing quarterback Tim Boyle, who started against the Miami Dolphins, and are signing veteran quarterback Brett Ripien off of Seattle's practice squad. Ripien started a game this season for LA. Boyle started the last 2 games for the Jets, and they just cut him. It wasn't like they said, we're going to put you on the practice squad. We're going to sit you, let you get to develop. You're like, you're done. You're out. Bye. I almost wondered if Tim Boyle was the source. For him to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, even though he was replacing or down to like 3rd or 4th string, he was still a starting quarterback in the NFL to bagging groceries. Just like that. Gone. Get out the building. You're done. We're not even holding you. We've seen enough. And when you temper that with the fact of you've seen what Zach Wilson has done, although he's a first-round draft pick, he didn't do much different than Zach Wilson, but he got shown the door. He got shown, hey, get out, man. We don't want you here anymore, which to me is pretty crazy. So now Diana Rossini and her partner at The Athletic, where she's working now, have to come out and do some damage control. So watch what they say here.
It feels like a lot of people have taken Robert Saleh's comments yesterday as a denial of the reporting that you guys put out there over the last couple of days. And obviously Aaron Rodgers, it feels like a lot of his frustrations were more rooted in the leaks that are happening from the Jets side of the building and the fact that there was nobody's name on that report. But just want to make it clear, you stand by all the reporting that you guys have done over the last couple of days.
Oh, yeah, we stand by our reporting. And
so she's coming straight for Aaron Rodgers, straight for Robert Saleh, and going, yeah, it's true. We stand by it. Is she lying? I don't know. Would she put that much of her career on the line?
Rodgers seems very frustrated with the Jets organization, having people in the building. And he said it's really just them being motivated by whatever it is that they're trying to get after. You know, he seems to be more consumed with the idea that there's people in the building that want to hurt the team, which is something he doesn't want. And anytime I've had any conversation about the effect Aaron Rodgers has had on this building, one of the things that he's really, really passionate about and intense about when it comes to this team is making sure their business stays in-house. And this happens.
But it didn't. Somebody blabbed big time. You know, all the stuff I've said about the Miami Dolphins for last year, whatever, they don't run this type of operation. They don't run this type of dumpster fire. I mean, I would be sick if I was a New York Jets fan right now trying to figure out what in the hell is going on here. Woody Johnson, you had so much promise at the beginning of the year. You brought in Aaron Rodgers. You brought in Dalvin Cook. New York Jets were ready to go to the Super Bowl, and now you're in a position where you don't even have a locker room. It's completely falling apart right now.
A lot when teams are losing. People start talking because panic sets in. People start worrying about their own jobs. They worry about the direction of the organization. They worry about their own performance on the field, how it's going to affect them. And that's what we've seen. So, when you go back to some of the comments Aaron Rodgers had to say about being disappointed this got out because he felt this was an assassination on the character of Zach Wilson, who really has shown so much growth this past year.
Has he? How much growth has Zach Wilson shown this year? Maybe as a person, maybe as a teammate, not as a quarterback. I think we can all agree there. He hasn't shown any development and progression as a quarterback.
I agree with Rodgers in that regard. But the truth is, Zach Wilson did not want to step back in there and had shared that with many people in the building. And Aaron Rodgers had multiple conversations with Wilson about changing his mind. So I understand why the Jets can't come out here and say that and can't say, yes, this is all true, because it makes Zach Wilson look bad. It makes Robert Saleh look bad. It makes Joe Douglas look bad. It makes the entire Jets organization look like an absolute disaster that it is. And at this point now, we're waiting to find out who they have named as the starting quarterback. But Aaron Rodgers said that Zach Wilson could have a chance to talk about it. So maybe
Zach gives us our best.
All right. So, Barry, why are you talking about this? I'm talking about this because you have a team in complete disarray. You have a team that seemingly is about to fall apart. You have a team that seems like they have no reason to even be a part of the National Football League. Yet, you have a team that has to face the Miami Dolphins really soon. You have a team that has nothing to lose. You have a team that is like she just said, people are worried about their jobs. People may be concerned, what am I going to do next year? You have Zach Wilson being thrown into the mix and saying, go play, go start. Zach Wilson knows, hey man, I got to do something because I'm not going to be here, and I want to make sure wherever I end up, whoever I sign with, whoever they trade me to, I'm good. I'm not going to end up like Tim Boyle pumping gas somewhere. My point being is that's dangerous. That is so dangerous when you have nothing to lose and your focus can be solely on, let me take down the big dog. Let me do whatever I can. My season's screwed. I'm done. We're done. Let's come together. Let's coalesce and see what we can do to take down the big dog. If you've never played, trust me, that can bring a team together really, really quick. You can all say, guys, one for the Gipper. Let's go ahead and do whatever we can to throw a monkey wrench into these Miami Dolphins plans. Let's go ahead and do it. Zach, you ready to get out there? Mekhi Becton, you ready? You limp out there? Are you ready? Listen to what Robert Saleh had to say. It's like 15 seconds here.
Zach gives us our best chance to win, and giving him another opportunity to go prove that.
How did that conversation go when you told him?
He was good. He's fired up. Like I said on Monday, he came into my office. He wants the ball, and he's excited about getting this opportunity to finish.
So who's lying? Zach says, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Newspaper reporter, or whatever she is at this point, website reporter, Diana Rossini says, nah, it ain't true. Zach don't want to play. Robert Saleh, head coach of the team, gets up in front of the press and says, Zach's fired up. Who are we going to believe? I'll tell you who I'll believe. I'll believe whatever I see on Sunday as their warm-up game for the Miami Dolphins. I'll see what kind of change they're making. At this point, Aaron Rodgers is off the boot. He's been talking about coming back. He may be on the sidelines, actually in uniform this weekend, maybe next weekend in uniform. Will that give him a bounce? Will that help Zach Wilson? Will it help the entire team? Because right now the leadership looks like it sucks, but who knows? And I have never been one to say, hey, listen, we've got a cornered animal here. This is going to be an easy win. That's what scares me. So let me know what you guys think about that dumpster fire. Oh, yeah, California, they are a complete disaster. Complete disaster. Hey, William, thanks, brother. Thank you for liking that. By the way, I always
Come
forget
on,
that.
show some love and click that like button.
Here, I got a sound effect that it speaks directly to the New York Jets. John Gorton says, what if Rodgers did not get injured? Who would he blame? He campaigned to fire McCarthy, and that was enough for me. Yeah, not sure who he'd be blaming. Hey, Jose, first time I've seen you. Jets is not a winning organization. Nope, at this point, no. Didn't the one lady admit that was okay? So that one lady you're talking about, didn't one lady admit to making up sideline reports? You can't trust the media. No, and she's still working. You're talking about Carissa Thompson from CBS, who said she just made shit up. She was a sideline reporter. She was the one that they'd have to break to and get the hit when the coaches were coming in and off the halftime. And if she couldn't get somebody to actually speak to her, the story is, hey, she just made stuff up. And then she admitted, yeah, he made it up. Oh, yeah, he said we got to come out the locker room. We got to come out fired up. And, they're going to try some different things. She just made it all up. All up. Completely up. CBS still hires. She's still sitting there. She's still working for CBS. It was a big joke. Chris says, about 10 years ago, or whenever Cam Cameron year was, I purchased a Larry Johnson jersey to remind myself when the Dolphins were good. I promised I'd never wear the jersey unless they get to the Super Bowl. Try getting an offensive lineman to help. It's been a dumpster fire. It's not even changing. I don't know. What is he crying? What is he crying about? They were pissed. Obviously, he was pissed off. I mean, he was pissed to the nth degree in terms of what he was. Somebody said something. It was obviously true. Somebody said something, and they didn't want to get it. Imagine if it was a player. Imagine if it was another player. It wasn't some trainer or someone in the front office. Imagine if it was a player that came out and gave all this information out about Zach Wilson. At least they're better than the turf they play on. Oh my God, that's too funny. That is a crazy thing. So I want to cover one last thing. I said I only had a couple of stories, but this one is probably the biggest one. I know a lot of you guys didn't want me to take a political turn too much with some of the stuff that I talked about. But we're getting to a point now where certain political things are touching different people in the NFL community, where people are basically hurt, in pain. And I'm talking about the crazy antisemitism stuff that's going on around the country. And as you know, plenty broadcasters, plenty owners, plenty people in front offices are Jewish. And what we're seeing right now is something that people are looking at and going, oh my God, what's going on? So I saw something yesterday, and it struck me. I'm not Jewish. I've had many partners who were Jewish. I've had many investors who were Jewish. So I know the culture. I know the people. As I've said many times, I live in what would be considered a Jewish neighborhood. We're in a gated community here, right behind a synagogue on a golf course. And so my neighbors, they're Jewish. I watch how they have to go to temple and surrounded by armed guards out there every single weekend. And I feel for what they're going through. Doesn't mean I don't feel for what some of the people in Gaza are going through. But let's talk about what's going on in America. And yesterday, in case you haven't seen it, because many people don't ever see these things, and I think that's why they get away with it, I want to show you the hearing that took place on Capitol Hill yesterday between Congress and the presidents of 3 Ivy League schools. 3 Ivy League schools, and what transpired. So you got to check this out. This is absolutely stunning.
At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if...
MIT. We're talking the upper echelon of education in this country. MIT. And she can't answer it. She can't answer it.
Pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
Okay. This lady, I wanted to take a flight to Washington, find out where this hearing was, and I wanted to wait for her outside the hearing room and see if I couldn't just scream at her. The smug look on her face, just this is incredible.
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
yes
speech
or
becomes
no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can.
If the speech becomes conduct. So you can say, kill all the Jews, but until you kill them, it's okay. She just said it, her words. And I'm watching this and going, this isn't America. You're telling me with a smiley little face that it's only if it becomes conduct. You can say it. Now, we all know you can't say certain things about other certain people. Yeah, you know that. As soon as you say, YouTube shuts you down, Google shuts you down, Facebook shuts you down if you say, If you say certain people can't play certain sports, they don't like that, do they? Nope, not at all. But you can go ahead and say anything you want about killing Jews, but just don't do it.
Be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay.
All right, so now you have the president of Yale coming up. And the president of Yale made me just cringe. And I'm getting to a point here, so I'm setting a table for something, so bear with me.
At Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of antisemitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts.
Conduct. You actually got to do it. You can say whatever you want, but until you actually kill the Jews, it's okay. That's the context she's wanting to go with.
To bullying, harassment, intimidation. That is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
If anybody thought that was acceptable, God help you. God help you if you think that's okay. So quickly getting to my point here is because a lot of people feel differently about it, but we're a sports-oriented channel here, not specifically one team or another. I do talk a lot about the Miami Dolphins, but it is a sports channel. And I knew I would see or expect to see people in the arena begin to say, hey, this is a bunch of bullshit. Something's got to go down. And so I had a little tweet session with, what's the guy's name? Dan Gottlieb, who's Jewish, and then Rich Eisen. And I actually tweeted to Rich, you got to put these guys on blast, man. You've got 500,000 followers, whatever you have. You're on Roku. You're on the NFL Network. Dude, put these people on blast. So Rich Eisen took it up and basically took the time to talk to people and say, this is BS on his show, his sports show. It's about a 7-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing because we're running long, but I just want you to hear, as Rich Eisen, a Jewish man who works at the NFL Network, who has been with the NFL for quite some time in some capacity, talks about it. And as you listen to him, listen to the pain, how it pains him to be a Jewish man, a Jewish father, a Jewish husband, to have people talking like this from the highest echelon of our universities, that nobody ever thought we'd ever get to a point where we would have to wonder if it's okay to say an entire bunch of people should be eliminated.
So sometimes things happen in the world that makes me stop what we normally do here and, if you will, stray out of our lane of sports talk and conversation about pop culture and things of that nature. And, and what usually causes me to stop and do that on this program is something that occurs in life that makes me think, what if I said nothing?
Perfect line. It gets me so ticked off when I see people on Twitter, Dolphins fans, Dolphin YouTubers, and I'm like, you're not paying attention to the world around you? You're not using your platforms to say something? What is the price if you stay silent? People have told me, Barry, don't get into the political thing. You have to. This is beyond reproach. At some point, you're going to get tickled. You're going to get punched in. Something is going to happen where you go, wait a minute, I need to use my platform to talk about this. I need to let people know this is friggin' wrong. And that's what Rich is beginning to do right here.
I don't want my kids to look at me and say one day, Dad, you had a platform, you had a microphone in front of your face. Why didn't you say something? And that happened yesterday, when the school presidents of Harvard, Penn, and MIT were on Capitol Hill testifying at a hearing in the House of Representatives on anti-Semitism in college campuses. Now, growing up, one of my cousins went to MIT, and we were so proud of him and proud of the fact that he went to MIT. My brother went to Penn, met my sister. after all, met his wife there. And I had such great times on that campus, and it's an incredible place. And Harvard obviously is a spot where, Susie being from Boston and, I'm from the Northeast, obviously there's dreams you want to send your kids to Harvard one day. Seeing the answers I saw and heard from the school presidents of those 3 institutions of higher learning to the simple question of whether they consider the phrase or the statement of genocide against all Jews to be a violation of codes of conduct on the campuses or considered a violation of the code of conduct in relation to bullying or harassment. And their answers not being unequivocally, yeah, that violates it, and just equivocating with a bunch of word salad and nonsense. Now, you could sit here and say, well, it's legalese because they have to leave themselves some wiggle room. That's nonsense. The question was from Elise Stefanik of New York, asking the school president at Penn if about whether genocide against all Jews was a violation of code of conduct. Her answer was, if the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Oh, so we have to wait for the genocide to happen before you kick someone off a campus? Is that right? She called it a context-dependent decision. How about the context of what's happening in the world right now?
What, was my microphone off the whole time? No, check. Was it? Jesus. All right. Anyway, you heard Rich, which I guess is okay. But anyway, what I was saying is I can't stay quiet. I have to talk about some things. I have to make sure that I use my platform to the best that I can do and actually become a voice And sometimes I'm going to hit that third rail, and there's going to be subjects that probably just tick some people off that they don't want to talk about. But I think we're at that point in life where there are some uncomfortable things that we have to address. And if that's something you don't want to hear, I'll let you know before the segment starts. I'll say, hey, listen, I'm going to go there. And if you want to bail, you can bail. And if you don't want to bail, at least you can hear guys like, Rich. And I'm going to take my lead from these guys. They have huge audiences. And if they're willing to go there, I definitely am willing to go there. I don't care if the other YouTubers only want to talk strikes and balls and touchdowns and field goals. I think life is much bigger than that. I find myself compelled to try to reach people. You never know. I get emails all the time from people who say, thanks, man. Thanks for what you said. It gave me some insight. And I've developed some friendships and talked to some people who it's much bigger than views. People sometimes accuse me of clickbaiting and everything else. I'm like, you don't understand, man. There's people who need just to be talked to. And so right now we've got an entire group of people that are being basically victimized and being told, hey, listen, unless somebody kills you, it's not really a big thing. Don't worry about it. We'll chill. So I'm going to get off the soapbox now. I just hope you guys take a chance. Go find Rich Eisen's video. Check it out. Listen to him. Listen to the entire pain that he feels. I mean, and what I'll do, in case you want to hear it right now, I'll close myself, but I'll go out and let you just hear the rest of his video because I don't want to interrupt. This is a Jewish man who's been involved with the NFL for a number of years, and he felt compelled because he looked at his kids and said, I can't stay silent. And so I can't do it, man. I can't just let these things go by and see good men. I consider Rich a good man. See these people in pain without saying, hey, man, I support you. I'll hit you up on Twitter. Good job. This shit needs to end. We need to get back to a certain way. And I'm not saying you need to be a Democrat. I'm not saying you need to be a Republican. I don't care if you're independent. At this point, you need to put these blinders on. And what are these blinders? I don't care what party. I don't care what religion. The only thing I want to see, what's right and what's wrong. I just want people to be able to focus on what's right and what's wrong. It seems as though everything wrong has become right and everything left. It's a topsy-turvy thing where people can't even go in front of Congress and say, hey, yeah, saying you want to kill Jews, not until something happens. Hey, how many, can a man have a baby? Oh, yeah, we need to talk about it. No, we don't. No, we don't. It's black and white. There is only one answer. No, that's it. That's what I believe. That's what I'm going to talk about. Should men be playing women's sports? Hell no. All of it. It's crazy. And if we don't start taking a stand, and I mean collectively, not myself, not you individually, but we, the collective. So I'm going to let Rich finish this out. I'm going to see how much longer it is. It's about 4 minutes. You guys can bail if you want. I'll be on tomorrow. But this is worth listening to. That's all I want to say. Just take a listen to it.
Where hate speech against Jews, and by the way, Islamophobia is through the roof too. How about the context of just being against all hate speech? And it starts with this subject matter. Harvard's president said that genocide, somebody advocating for genocide against all Jews being a violation of their code of conduct, quote unquote, can be depending on the context. What? Hey, by just allowing that speech makes people comfortable to commit the genocide. You understand that? By not being unequivocal and saying, yes, this is a violation, and anybody who violates it is off campus. They can't go to Harvard, Penn, or MIT. By saying, well, it depends on this, that, the other thing, makes them comfortable to commit the genocide. It is the lesson you learn when you walk into museums of tolerance or Holocaust museums around the world, including ones that I've been into recently in Berlin, Germany, and Tel Aviv, Israel. It's the first lesson you learn, and I can't believe you've got to tell people who lead these institutions of higher learning that. And certainly the presidents at MIT and Harvard, just reach out to Bob Kraft. He's in the neighborhood. He's created the foundation to combat anti-Semitism. And you see the commercials all around the football games that we're watching right now. With the blue square and the hashtag as well, stand up to Jewish hate. I cannot believe the answers I heard. It is frightening to see those answers from people in positions of leadership and higher education. Are you kidding me? The answer is yes. When you're advocating for genocide against anybody, that's a violation of code of conduct and is a form of harassment or bullying. Forget the context. Get out of here. And it's just really mind-blowing to me. In this day and age, I never thought in a million years that I would never want to send my kids to these schools. Forget that. And for this whole politics thing, there should be nothing political about this, left or right, at all. No politics. It's not your political stance. And it's mind-blowing to me. And to these folks, you know what I want to say to these folks who are in the position of power like that? What if you take out Jews and put in all lives? And that comes across as maybe like polarizing because those folks who were sitting up there on Capitol Hill unable to give the answer about Jews. Certainly when we were talking about all lives matter, we're at the forefront of the world there. And for me to say that, it sounds like for me to be polarizing, because this is not polarizing. Well, what about you? What about that section of the world? And what about Muslims right now? They should be all included together in this. What the hell is the matter with those people? On Capitol Hill, in front of the whole world, couldn't say the word yes unequivocally. No, it's context, this, that, the other thing. And if it's action, then we can take action. Oh, let's wait for the genocide.
Like I said, you can tell the pain in his voice. A couple of people have asked who's been saying it. Yeah, the kids are saying it. The kids at Penn and MIT, and even more than just, the ones at Harvard, the ones they mentioned. It's been being said everywhere. And people like Rich have had enough, especially a Jewish guy like that. So that's the show for tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Just take a listen to what's going on in the world and understand there's some things that are much bigger than sports that transcend sports. And we have our little microcosm where we watch games and other guys play games, but there's people who are dying and in threat of dying, and I see it in my neighborhood every day. I watch these little girls in dresses. It's funny when I go outside to walk the dog. Sometimes it's quiet. I can hear the din of little kids playing down the street. And then, as I'm walking the dog, I see, 3 or 4 little 8-year-old girls out there playing. And I'm like, these kids it's just innocence. And when they go to temple now, when they have to go to the synagogue, they have to pass through metal detectors. They have to go through dog sniffers. There's guards out there. That's not life, man. That nobody should have to do that. None of us. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it didn't piss you off too much. Hope it didn't push you off the rails here. But some of the stuff we need to talk to. And that's why I created this show. Thanks for watching, and tell your friends.